What's going on, guys? Y'all want to ride with me on my day off? I don't like that it's my day off. I don't know why it's my day off, actually. I've been working with Jason since the first week in November. And today, we're going to talk about why that is. Why only since November. I'll be fair with you. I didn't want to go to work for Jason, or anybody else for that matter. I was on top of the world, almost. I was really high on the mountain. I wasn't quite to the summit yet, but I was really high on the mountain with my previous job. I had no reason to look for another job. And I'll get into that, about what happened and everything. It was really, not my fault, not their fault, not anybody's fault. It was just life in general. We'll talk about that. We'll get into it. That was my glasses, my eyeglasses. What we're going to do today, we're going to see if my boy Sergio can cut my hair, because, man, I got a real afro going on here. I mean, there ain't no doubt about it. But, yeah, back to the whole got a day off. They might not even be open. I don't know. These guys work 7 days a week sometimes. Sometimes they'll just take a day off, though. Yeah, they're open. I don't know if my boy's in there. I'm good of mine if they ain't got a line, just stepping in there and getting it done, regardless if Sergio's in there or not. But basically the deal with the day, it's only happened one other time. It's 9:44 a.m. right now. And that day that it had happened, in other words, the night before, I get my dispatches at like, I don't know, between 4 and 6 p.m. I get my dispatches. And essentially, I didn't get a dispatch last night. The first time it happened, I didn't get a dispatch. But they called me like at 10 a.m. and were like, hey, we need you to go run this load. And I was in Goldsboro, which is about 20 miles away, and totally aggravated by that. But, I was pissed off because I was not working that day. Like I say, up to that point, that was about a month ago. It had never happened before. And I was complaining to my wife that I wasn't working. So when they called me at probably about 10:30 in the morning, well, hey, here's the load, blah, 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 I didn't even blink. I just said, okay, it's going to take me an hour to even get to my truck, because, I had to change clothes and everything. And I said, it's going to take an hour to get to my truck, and it's going to take 45 minutes to get to Selma from there. She said, that's fine. Just take your time, get it done. And then they added a load, so it was 2 loads. I got home about 6 p.m., and it turned out to be a great day. So this morning, it's 9:45. I am about to text her and tell her what I'm up to, and don't even think about it, because I've already got some plans on going to Goldsboro, and I'll get into the plans and get into why I'm doing what I'm doing today and won't take a load. Because overall it's a good thing. So anyway, the downside is won't make any money if they were to have something, but overall it's a good thing. Hey, let's get a haircut, or at least try to. Let's see what happens here. Okay, guys. Let's see if we can't get to Goldsboro. I'll talk to you a little bit about why I work with who I work for, and why it's only been a few months. I'll talk to you about the whole 9 yards. So, I just got my truck washed. I'll try to put a before and after. Man, it's a pretty truck, but it's strong on the money. But I just decided I had a bunch of older pickups, and I had a 96 F250, and then I got an 08, and that was an unmitigated financial disaster. I bought it for $16 and ended up spending about $30,000 on that truck. You get and was going to need to spend like 20 more, and I was like, yeah, that's all all I can handle right there. So anyway, I went and got me another one back in November, first week of November, same week I started with Jason. Anyway, let's get the cruise going here. We're going to run up to Goldsboro. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be 51, and we're going to get this thing aiming a little bit better, where I can relax a little bit. I wish you could see what was going on in the forward view. This car is doing 65 mile an hour zone, doing about 60, probably not wanting INS to get a hold of her. So anyway, or ICE, whatever they call it, set the cruise. We're going to cruise on up. I better back it down just a little bit. But anyway, here's the deal. Back in April of 2024, I was walking out the door to go to work. It's 4:30 in the morning, and I turned my ankle over and I turned my ankle over and broke my ankle in at least 2 places, but really and truly it was 3. And I had to have surgery. I joke around and say I had a couple bends out of the hardware store put in my ankle. And you know, I'll turn my amateur radio down. That's a good video to do right there, amateur radio. Why you guys, why are we truck drivers, why aren't more of us on amateur radio instead of the CB, which sucks, absolutely sucks. But that's a video, another topic, another day. We'll turn that down. But essentially, I broke my ankle last year. I was working for a company, a small family business out of Bethel, North Carolina, which is by Greenville, North Carolina, Greenville. But what was going on, I mean, look, man, I had it made. I was making good money. Had a minimum $1,500 a week for around here. That was really good money. And minimum $300 a day, $1,500 a week. You work. I don't like working Saturdays, but man, we only work 1 Saturday a month. I worked there 2 years. I worked 8 Saturdays out of 24 opportunities. And what that means is we're scheduled, for me, it was the 2nd Saturday in the month. And there was 4 of us, 4 line haul drivers, and then he had 4 short trucks, okay? And he had a really nice bulk plant, everything. And it was all private sale. In other words, we were a private carrier. We didn't provide anybody else fuel. All we did was, we had 2 stores, and I think they're getting ready to build a 3rd, but we had 2 stores, and we had a ton of private accounts, logging, industrial, good Lord, just everything you could imagine. Farmers, industrial, what in the world was that? And that's the way that worked. I worked for them for 2 years. I had the opportunity to go to them and did not even think about it. It was such a good deal. And what it was he had a guy that, I was hauling propane at the time and hated the company I worked for. And the wild thing about it is the guy that was with Country Mart, he hated Country Mart and went to haul propane, not for the same company I was working with, but for a good company, local company. And so I started working for them. Everything was good. I had no misgivings. I would recommend for somebody to go work for them. Really good bunch of people. They're going to pay you. There ain't no doubt about that. But what I'm about to tell you about happened, and it kind of
tarnishes all the good things. Minimum $1,500 a week. You have a Saturday, you bust up on $1,900, $1,900, but and a lot of the time you bust up on $2,000. I mean, it was $1,500 minimum, everything above. So I break my ankle, and that afternoon, Jason called me. I've known Jason for several years now, and Jason heard that I had broke my ankle. Jason calls me. He's like, man, he said, they're going to, Country Mart's going to cut you loose. And I'm like, there ain't no way, Bo. And I have heard some amazing stories in our local industry. I'm talking about the Selma, all the Selma trucks and trucking companies and drivers and everything. I've heard some amazing freaking stories. I've got a friend who I've mentioned on this show before, Jay Hall. He's the guy that loaned me those fittings. Jay, his wife's a nurse. One day in January, he just didn't wake up. Wife couldn't get him to wake up. Come to find out, long story short, he's in a coma. He's like 34 years of age. What in the world is this 34-year-old, otherwise healthy human being doing in a coma? They got him in the hospital. Come to find out, he had a infected tooth, a wisdom tooth. One of his wisdom teeth became infected, and the infection went to his brain, put him in a coma. Now, I work for APC, and that's, if you've watched some of the previous videos, that's the company I told you that I left and I shouldn't have left. And here is one of the reasons why. This is one example out of, I know, 4 or 5 strong examples that I know personally that something similar has happened. Brian, the owner, they don't offer Aflac, they don't offer disability, they don't offer anything like that. When I signed on with them, I made the comment, well, do y'all have disability? And he says, you don't need disability, I'm your disability. And I thought, yeah, right. Well, I quickly found out through some other examples, nothing to do with me, but he was right. When had a phone call, so when Jay went out, he was out for 3 months, and APC paid him $1,000 a week. I mean, that's pretty strong. That's pretty freaking strong. And Jay was not the only example. Okay. So anyway, when I broke my ankle, I didn't expect anything like that. I did ask the same question of Country Mart. Guy's name is Corey. He's a real nice guy, by the way. But Corey made the comment, or I made the question. I posed the question, hey, what's going to happen? Do y'all have any disability or anything like that? And he's like, well, we don't offer anything like that. And he kind of made a comment like, look, I used to sell disability insurance. I've heard a lot of comments. I've heard a lot of objections. And his comment was basically that they were worried about employee abuse of it. Well, if you know anything about disability, it's really hard to do that. And I mean, what kind of employees do you have? And he may not have been worried about the truck drivers as much as he was some other employees that I'm aware of. He's got a wide variety of employees, especially in those stores and things like that. But, if you offer it to some, you cannot not offer it to all of them. You got to offer it to everybody. So anyway, but he made a similar comment as Brian, but not quite the same way. He kind of said, well, we ain't gonna let nobody lose their house or go to missing car payments. Well, I'll give you the timeline. Day one, I sent him a picture of me laying in the floor. My daughter took it. I got a paramedic. I'm up on fentanyl, and I've got a smile on my face and thumbs up because I got fentanyl and I'm jacked up. Fentanyl, you still hurt, but you really don't care that you hurt. That's for sure. And I'm laying in the floor. She sends him that text and said, Wilson's not going to make it in. Wilson's, badly hurt. That time we didn't know what it was. But, Wilson's broke his ankle. He's very, very injured. And he's not coming into work today or the foreseeable future. Well, Corey called me I called Corey after my surgery, and he was like, hey, do you know about how long this is going to be? And I said, well, Corey, it'll probably be about a month. And the reason I said that was because what happened when we were in elementary school and everything, you broke your arm, you were out for a month, you had a cast for a month. So I just thought, month. I had my surgery, but they hadn't told me anything. So I go back. Oh, by the way, he said to me immediately, he didn't even blink. He said, we're going to have to go get that truck. And I wasn't thinking about, well, I'm fired. I've lost my job. I just thought, well, he needs to go get that truck. But that was it. That was it with Country Mart. I never talked to Corey again until September. And that was it. There wasn't any, how are you doing? Nothing like that. The facts of the matter are he knew my wife was the administrator at a hospital, had a strong 6-figure income, and he and I had also talked about things like finances and stuff, and he knew we were practically out of debt other than our house and her car, practically out of debt. And didn't have any credit card debt, didn't have anything like that. And quite frankly, it pulled the rug right out from under me. I mean, there ain't no doubt about it. And we survived, we made it through. I didn't miss a meal. I laid on the couch for the first 3 months. After that, it was physical therapy. And after 8 months, I could go back to work. So I did. And Jason was with me from the beginning. Day one, Jason was calling me, how you doing? And by the way, Jason told me that day, I think I said it earlier, but Jason did tell me, they're going to fire you. You know that. And I was like, no, man. He said, well, when it comes to that, give me a call. There'll be a truck waiting for you. And Jason had tried to get me to work for him several times previously and everything, but I just didn't do it, But anyway, that's how I'm in the situation I'm in. That's why I'm at the company I'm at, which, hey, look, I enjoy it. There ain't no doubt about it. I enjoy working where I work and all that. Everything's fine. Everything's dandy. I don't regret anything. I don't regret coming over here. Jason has took care of me. He's been a good friend. And usually that's not the relationship employee-employer. Usually that's not the relationship. He calls me up, asks my advice about things. I call him up, ask his advice about things. So anyway, probably a little bit longer I wanted to go today, but got a day off. We're going to take care of some things, get a haircut, and we're going to grill a serious freaking steak tonight. Mouth-watering, wonderful steak tonight. We're going to do a good job.